Hello, this is Kazbekov Batyrkhan, student of SE 2203, and my topic is causes of stress and methods of dealing with it. So this presentation includes the first and the second part of the research. Let's start with the topic and relevance. So the stress is a part of everyday life. In some cases it can be beneficial to increase our motivation, and other cases it can cause the situation of harm and even mental trauma. So nowadays people live in large cities, population, in a fast pace of life, so they often not have time just to relax and deal with their emotions and feelings. So according to APA, in 2007, the 77% of the respondents were experiencing the physical symptoms, and the 73% psychological symptoms related to stress. So the stress is the very major problem right now. Research problem. So what are the common stress factors and the effect of stress on the human mind? And what approaches can be used to deal with the negative impact of stress? So this research will define the impact of psychological and mental state behavior in people. Methods to cope with stress also be determined. So the main purpose of the research is to come on a original conclusion where will be listed the causing stress factors and the methods that will help to cope with it. Finally, the research will be able to help people to experience the stress and to better understand themselves, better understand the situations, and what can they do in the stressful situations. So the hypothesis is academic and work overload cause huge amount of stress, emotional damage, and mental instability. If it happens for a long period of time, the detrimental consequences can be reached. So the object of this research is the causes of stress and impact of stress to the mental state of human. So to test this hypothesis, I've conducted a survey with over 40 respondents, over the 40 people that answered it. And there is some research questions that were answered by people. So there is not all of them. The 10 questions. So let's move on to the results. So as we see here, the more than 60% experience stress often or sometimes. That means people nowadays, students are really tend to experience stress. So the more than a half of the respondents experience the emotional or cognitive symptoms. Even some of them feel sick after experiencing stress. Also, many of them experienced sleep problems. And there is also some answers that is not showed here, but many of people like this, they have many of the symptoms combined. So what are the sources of stress? The primary source of stress we can see is education and the personal expectations of the students. So while studying, as we see, the education and the students themselves cause a lot of stress to them. So there is a very sad statistics that over a third of respondents, they not even tried to manage the stress. They just live with it. So that's very sad. For those who tried to manage, there is many ways. They tried to cope with stress. So they chose the relaxing activity, just to read books, listen to music, watch series and movies, also play games, most of it. So As I said, the relaxing activity is the major thing that people use to overcome stress. So over 50%, over a half. So considering the educations, the many students thinks that exams are the main reason of a stress during the education, since exams are very the value of exams is a lot. So also almost all of students think that the stress, that amount of stress that they have negative impact of their academic performance, otherwise education. Also, there was a question. So what was the greatest stress in their lives? And many students um, mentioned that exams and loss of close ones, family members, was the greatest stress in their lives. Yeah, like this one. And many students rated like close to 50%, as we see, rated their stress level from education like 4 or 5, like a high level of stress. And there is a information that most of students experience like a short-term stress, like during the finals, during our exams, university, while they're entering the university, like from 1 to 4 weeks. And the survey analysis. Most of the survey, most of the results turned out to be very predictable. So survey showed that many students experience frequent and intense stress. So the regular source of stress is study load, and events that cause more stress are study exams, loss of loved ones, and also mentioned a public speech in front of people. So to conclude, my hypothesis was confirmed. So many people experience mental and sometimes even physiological problems associated with the study load, with their academic performance, and also very few people using help of psychological with the professional psychologist. And the main suggestion of my study is to uh, ask for help in the stressful situations and not be afraid to visit the psychologist and ask for professional help. So that's all. Thank you for your attention.